Hey, Crystal Maiden here. Here I'm going to be showing off a whole bunch of doppelganger missions. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be talking a lot about the comics, which I felt was most appropriate because I'm playing as Scourge for most of these missions anyways, and Scourge is a character from the Archie comics. So first I'm going to start talking about, like, the Freedom Fighters. By the way, this mission is kind of annoying because, again, you basically don't have the bubble shield, so you're forced to play through, like, a water level legitimately, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I'm going to start off with Sally, because she's pretty controversial of a character because the most well-known thing about her is that she's accused of being a Mary Sue. And Mary Sue is basically a character who is, well, see, if a character has flaws, it doesn't necessarily disqualify for them from being a Mary Sue, because, like, if the flaws are not portrayed as a big deal, then it doesn't really matter. Like, there's actually something called an anti-Sue, which is a character that's extremely flawed, but is still the Sue because the characters generally love that character anyways, which makes you wonder why they're so popular in the first place. It clues you into the fact that they're the creator's pet. The Sue is basically, like, that's the thing about Sally is not that she doesn't have flaws, it's that she's a creator's pet. Like, she's described with just positive qualities by the people who write her, like on her profile page. The thing is that she can have flaws, and, like, those flaws can easily make her an unlikable character. Like, she's the leader of the Freedom Fighters. That's basically her role. That's what that's her purpose. And this means that, well, she's very focused on, like, how the Freedom Fighters are good guys, and so that can make her self-righteous. Like, when she found out that Fiona Fox used to have a criminal past out of necessity, she shunned her and was very discriminatory towards her, despite the fact that Fiona Fox had been working with her for an entire year as a loyal freedom fighter. Is it any wonder that she ditched them afterwards? Unfortunately, this wasn't really played up that much, and was made very subtle because Sally's the creator's pet. They didn't want to make her look bad by making it much more obvious that she was making Fiona feel shunned by not accepting her for her past. I like Sally. Basically, like, she's alright, but I can easily imagine why she would be annoying as a character, because she can be a hypocrite. The kind of, like, she thinks she's holier than thou. She can also be relatable in the sense that, well, she's the only sane man. She's very pragmatic, practical thinking. Unfortunately, this makes her clash with Sonic, because Sonic is much more optimistic and, like, adventurous, and Sally's basically like Shara or Caliburn, going, how dare you enjoy your adventure? You should be worrying all the time. I mean, I like the fact that Sally is worried about screwing up as a leader, especially in the reboot. Like, they put a lot more focus on Sally angsting, like, worrying that she's not being good enough of a leader, and worrying that she failed, and stuff like that. I think it's kind of like overcompensating, trying to prove that she's not a Mary Sue. And it just makes her look whiny because in the reboot, her life is a lot better because it's a different world. It's a world that suffered a lot less. Like, it's had a lot less, like roboticizing is not really a thing. So it just makes her come off as whiny because the reboot universe is so much happier, and yet she's complaining more than ever. By the way, I really love how the mission takes place at sunset. It looks so beautiful. And it's kind of amusing playing this as Scourge. Save those animals, Scourge! You can do it! We all know you're a hero deep down. I died once in this mission because there was an electrified enemy right above a capsule, and it electrified itself and killed me. I'm pretty sure I had Mercy Invincibility during that time, and like, I was in ball form, so I should have just heard it. Other than that, the mission is pretty alright, even if it's too platformy. But anyways, I think I've gone on a bit too long about Sally. Like, I can understand, like, the mere fact that she's called a Mary Sue by a lot of people does point to serious problems with the writing. Like, it doesn't help that every rival love interest for Sonic has ended up turning evil or something. Like, Mina Mongoose basically turned completely against Nicole and made it so that everyone was against her and paranoid of her. And the fact that they're all brainwashed by a wizard doesn't help. So they basically just ruined Mina's character, all because she was a rival interest. Like, they stopped doing their reboot, but most of the time they were pushing the sort of Sonic and Sally romance that, well, one, the Sonic series isn't really about romance, it's about being action-packed, and two, again, incompatible people aren't going to make good lovers. Sonic and Sally are opposites. They're just going to do nothing but argue. Like, how are they in any way compatible? So, that kind of official couple thing led to, like, Fiona Fox becoming evil and betraying them, falling in love with Scourge. Because, well, the real reason was that Sally was making her feel unwanted, but still. Like, there was some problems with that. Ultimately, I like the concept of Sally, like, the kind of worried leader who's got a lot of pressure on her. And I love her close friendship with Nicole. Like, that really does make her more likable. About Nicole, like, she's a benevolent AI. Like, that's very rare in the Sonic series. Usually you see robots that are evil. But she's not even a robot. She has an organic body because she wants to be more real. And, like, she's a sentient, intelligent life form that basically made a Lynx form for herself. Like, it's called a Holo-Lynx. I always found that really confusing because aren't holograms by definition intangible? So it's not really a hologram then. Like, pre-reboot, it was explained that she's made out of nanobots and, like, nanites. So that makes a lot more sense than post-reboot where they don't really give much of an explanation. Like, she was created by a red star ring, and that gave her the spark of life. Thing is, though, I never really accepted red star rings as an actual part of the Sonic universe. I just see them as sort of dumb collectibles that don't really work in Sonic. But whatever, it's good that they're actually making use of the whole game lore stuff. You wouldn't have gotten that if it had been written by Pontac and Grab, that's for sure. But yeah, I really like Nicole. I think that she could easily be introduced into the games, because all you need to do is have her be made, because she's an AI. And, like, I like her kind and polite personality. Like, she's very smart. She has a large vocabulary. She's not, like, a gadgeteer genius like Tails is, but she is a pretty likable character. And I felt really sorry for her when they had that arc where she was basically possessed, like reprogrammed to work for someone evil, like the Iron Dominion, I think it was. And afterwards, the public still feared her, even though she was unbrainwashed. Because it turns out they discriminated against her for being an AI. They always found her unsettling. And the wizard brainwashing people against her by making their fear get accentuated didn't really help. So I really feel sorry for Nicole there. And, like, there's also Sally being turned into a robot. And that never actually got resolved because of the reboot. That, along with everyone being afraid of Nicole, and Antoine being put in a coma, and Rotor, like, he had to rely on a superpowered mech form because his back got broken. Like, it's like they intentionally put all the Sad AM characters through some sort of incapacitating humiliation conga just to make sure that the whole Sonic and Mega Man crossover would not have those characters in it. It really does feel that way. And also, it also sucks because you have all these terrible situations happening, and none of them get resolved because of the reboot. Like, a lot of people were complaining that the comic became too dark because of all that stuff. Like Sally being turned into a robot, and Antoine being put in a coma because of Metal Sonic's explosion. None of that was ever resolved. And that really sucks, and, like, the comic was basically going down a dark route when it got rebooted. But all that could have been made better if it wasn't rebooted. Like, they could have actually resolved those plot points. Like, they were leading up to, like, like Bunnie had stopped being a cyborg because a malfunctioning like wizard spell made her stop being a cyborg. And she actually angsted over that because now she wasn't able to benefit her friends with her cybernetic limbs. So she felt useless and she left. I think they were leading up to her making herself a cyborg again. Like, I kind of like her unique, like, struggle over that. It makes the fact that she's a stereotypical Texas tough girl feel a bit more fresh because she's not just that, she's also a cyborg, and she kind of has to deal with that. Like, her last name is Bunnie Rabot, but people pronounce it Rabot because she looks kind of like a robot, and she just sort of goes along with it. It's kind of funny how her last name is French, and yet she married a French person who actually does talk with a French accent, even though she's Texan, and like she doesn't have a French accent. So I guess that was, and also a pair of the spare sort of thing. Antoine was basically the French stereotype of the group. Never really saw the point of having a French stereotype in a Sonic game, or like a Sonic sort of medium. It always felt very out of place. Because if there's one thing that belongs in a Sonic game, it's national stereotypes, right? Like, he even started out like stereotype, like he was cowardly and snooty, and Sonic like playing tricks on him. Like in one of the cartoon shows, he felt reluctant to save him. But he did actually get better in the comics, like he got character development. Because the thing is, he was trapped in the evil universe for an entire year. And I was actually shocked to find out it was an entire year he was trapped there with the evil twins of his friends. And he had to force himself to disguise himself as an evil twin, or he'll get consequences for it, because he'd be found out. And I think maybe that was the equivalent of toughening up in prison. Maybe constantly spending time around like evil twins was constantly worrying him, and he had to toughen up to deal with it. I don't entirely like what they did with it though, because he was one of the main characters, but they didn't at all like take advantage of that opportunity. They could have shown the evil twins in their downtime, fleshed out their characters, but instead they just show them a few times and they show them causing trouble. That's it. Even though Antoine's one of the main characters, you'd think that they would show off the people that he was hanging around, but no. It just sucks. Like, Tails has such potential to be the best villain ever because he's, like, Tails had a past where he was bullied. So, wouldn't being bullied be the perfect explanation for why Tails turned evil? But they never explain that. They never explain that he has PTSD and is paranoid of everyone around him, and that's why he hates humanity. And, like, there's also the implication that he cares more about magic than Tails does, because he rants at him about how he ignores his magical heritage in favor of engineering. But that's only in one line. He never shows chaos powers or anything of the sort. I hate this mission because like, first off, the hooks that you grab onto, they blend. Like, they don't very stand out. It's very easy to overlook them, and that's why I died so many times to one pit. And there's also the fact that the swinging controls are extremely stiff. You don't get launched upwards very high. So, it just feels, like, very stiff. Like, no matter how far back you go, and how like, you can't just hold left for a long time and then hold right for a long time and make it so that you get launched further. It's very stiff. So ultimately, I really didn't like that mission as much as I thought I would. And it really feels like they were stretching for things that SBO as a ninja could do. I assumed that it would be involving him turning invisible, because that's the other thing that he's associated with, is turning invisible. But yeah, there's also Rotor, who I find kind of redundant compared to Tails, because both Rotor and Tails are engineers as well. And like, I like how the reboot made it so that Rotor ran away from a father who didn't accept him for his engineering talent. But Rotor is supposed to be basically the muscle because Knuckles isn't part of the Freedom Fighters in the comics. And that's supposed to justify his purpose, and he's also more pragmatic, like you gotta shoot the dog to like do the right thing. I like that about him, but he just seems kind of redundant. I don't know. I guess he's there to be a teacher to Tails. Don't really care about him though. I've grown to really like all of the other freedom fighters, but Rotor is kind of just there.